Yes, free water. But don't tell the Geneva Convention, please. Since I don't know who came up with this bug, I'm sharing the person where I've seen it first. So thanks a lot Roykoi for sharing that exploit. Link in the description. Hello to all the meeps and bubbles and welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included, Vanilla vs Exploits, where we also try to colonize every planetoid. My name is Luma and we are starting on the second planetoid called Wade's Planet. The thing I'm doing right now is clearing out large areas until duplicants get trapped. You know, there's like no way for the duplicants to not get trapped, in order to have enough space for what is coming next. Wade told me in one of his comments that he's focusing on hands-off gameplay, which I think is a good idea because I micromanage way too much. So let's make this planetoid more self-reliant, after picking up a little bit of lime for the steel production. At the same time, on Steakooo's gooey Paradize I can see 3 geysers and or volcanoes, which we need the super duper hard digging for to get rid of the obsidian. So let's clear out everything that is in the way and see what we can do with the found volcanoes. It looks like we got a regular volcano which we can use for energy production in the future. I'm not sure about the middle one yet, but the left one looks like a carbon dioxide geyser. Let us quickly check the middle one, and it is a aluminum volcano. Nice. This one produces 7.8 kilograms per second and a volcano 260. On Wade's planet and around 40 cycles in the future, I decided that I will start with a new bedroom setup as well as a bathroom setup and improved transportation with the help of a transit tube access point. And how else could it be? We got one of those again. FRD dot. Could you not? So this is how our bedroom setup looks right now. And we can also set the wash basins to right only. Don't worry, I will eventually notice the flaw in their design. Meanwhile at Steakooo's gooey Paradize we are clearing out a larger area so that we can build a volcano tamer. Either for the metal or the regular volcano, I'm not sure what I want to have first. I think it might be a good idea to start with the aluminum volcanoes, so we will have enough metal in order for us to tame the regular volcano. We will probably also need the conveyor rail thermosensor. In addition to that, an oxyfern. And we will also need the mechatronics engineering for our Steakooo. This will cost us a lot of moral, and even more if we also want the field research. Right now the only thing that keeps Steakooo motivated is the bedroom, bathroom, mess hall, and as you may see right here, I want to add a nature reserve. Steakooo also has 4 or 5 downtime slots. So it is a good thing that we finish the nature reserve in an area where Steakooo will have to walk by to finish his daily building tasks. We could add another 3 morale points if we step up our game from a mess hall to a great hall, because a great hall has +6 morale and a mess hall only has +3. The difference is the size and the decor buildings. So let's check the morale value again. We're at +26 and have a need of 25. So let's give Steakooo the points and handle the rage quit later. And meanwhile we got plastic, pincher pepper seeds and glass. Why is that of any importance at all? Well, because we can use the glass to build another solar panel, but a regular one because this produces way more power. And I want to hook it up to our second powerless tower. Since the dub is now able to handle the moral requirements to build conveyor rails, auto sweepers and conveyor loaders, that is exactly what we start off for this tamer. I will explain how this works once this is finished. And since I don't really feel like vacuum that thing out or making a liquid lock, I'm just filling it with a couple of liquids. I really don't know what I expected, but if you take a look to the down left, yeah. Okay Steakooo, let's get you out of there. After that I dug up the tile that was blocking the volcano from erupting, and now I'm filling the room with the liquids of different density. This should form some blobs or layers, which will save me a lot of water to fill this room completely, which in hindsight made some problems, because it was keeping the volcano from erupting. But for now let's connect up all the pipes that I have prepared. This top pipe is a cooling pipe to cool down our steam turbines. This pipe and the liquid vent right here is in case our liquid vent inside of the volcano room might be overpressured and we first need to reduce the amount of water, and the rest is just a classic aquatuner setup with another bypass bridge in case our aquatuner is not running. The power from the steam turbines will be put into the thicker cables while the conductive wire is powering the machinery. We can set the conveyor loader to every material that is available and the temperature to below 140 degrees Celsius. Oh, by the way, I installed a mod that shows Celsius and Fahrenheit right next to each other, but it seems that this only works for the ambient temperatures. And now we can fill the cooling loop that is only there to cool down our steam turbines. I will be using what is available, in our case the polluted water right next to us. We only need to connect it up, give it a small amount of power and fill the loop. As you see, the power that I put in was not enough. Also, here's the issue I was talking about. Our freaking volcano is overpressured, meaning no aluminum for us. At least until I fix the issue. And my thought process for that was just make a hole in the wall, because this is also a method of creating vacuums, but I just want to get rid of a little bit of liquid inside of this room. So let's see if this works. The water is dripping down, creating a vacuum in the top part of the room, and now we only need to stop it before some air can get in. Since the volcano seems fine to me, we can close this off now. A little while later the volcano actually erupted, and we are now finally accumulating aluminum. But since we don't have enough power, nothing is being picked up. I guess we need to wait for a few more eruptions before the system runs, and I will explain this when that happened. Maybe that will be in the next episode though. Sorry for that guys, but I want you to see that in action. And if you're wondering, this whole episode is at least 130 cycles long, so there's a lot of other stuff happening on the other planetoids. Oh yeah, and I massively stressed Steakooo in that time. I mean, look at him raging. What is happening? What the fuck? Okay, it seems like Steakooo is gone, but let's worry about that another time. Back at the second planet, I'm trying to replace the old kitchen setup with a new one. In addition to the kitchen, a recreation room and a little bit of research will only improve this boxed-in base. I did work a longer time on the kitchen setup. For the infinite food storage, I had planned to place the food behind a little drop of crude oil and then place it in a sterile atmosphere. As you have seen right now, the crude oil was delivered and we only need to get the amount right. I didn't get it in the first try, so let's do that again. After the crude oil has been dropped, we can deconstruct the tile underneath the excess crude oil. Then we can replace the tile again, and let's not forget about the tile on top. The recreation room on top is slowly but steadily taking on form, and I even thought about adding a nature reserve to that. I even decided to add more research buildings, and on the left you can see the integrated cooling and refinement system being built. And while all of that was happening, the only remarkable blueprint we got was a snazzy suit. As you may know from the earlier episodes, this planet is called Wade's planet, because we defrosted a friend on this one. In our case, our patron Wade. He earlier stated barracks only, and that's what he got. Wade would like a pet pip and some naturally grown indoor plants. So that is what I tried to give him, while at the same time preparing for the next wish. Meanwhile, on the first planet we researched the beach chairs, which we ended up using on the second. I switched the temperature control for our steam turbines to 20 degrees Celsius, so we don't waste energy on overcooling the steam turbines. We replaced the vanilla storage system with another vanilla storage system, since I don't consider a one-tile storage an exploit or a bug. So I try to place it as neutral as possible, right in the middle of our base. And because I don't feel like picking up all the material manually, I let the duplicants place down 2 order sweepers and 2 conveyor loader. That will take care of that job. Since we also haven't boosted the morale of our duplicants on the first planetoid in a while, I thought about spamming pixel packs everywhere, because pixel packs have the highest possible decor value except from spore kits and space artifacts. Hooking up those 4-tile big pixel packs can be a pain, because you have to rearrange and place them in weird configurations. And every single one of them normally uses up 10 watts of power. For the color, I normally like to go with black, because it looks like a night sky and it gets rid of these annoying borders between the tiles. We also got lucky and got the first batch of thimbleweed on the first planet. The automation for the pixel packs was just hooked up to this atmos sensor right here. So every time we feed in oxygen, the color changes. I will do the same pixel pack shenanigans for all the duplicants' personal rooms, but I might use a different color scheme for that. So if you are a patron duplicant yourself in this let's play, just choose your own color and then you will see which room we are talking about every time I show something on the screen. Here you can even see me placing pixel packs in the background of the buildings and choosing black for the background again. As you can imagine by the sheer amount of pixel packs that we smacked down, we got a lot of glass on the first planet. A few tons of that has been sent over to the second planet, where we can use it to get away from coal energy and natural gas to more renewable sources of power generation. Other than coal energy, which can be supplied on demand, it may be a good idea for solar power to be stored. For that we will need a little bit of space, so I'm getting rid of the plants, making more room to the right to replace them. And on the left we can start on our storage system for the energy. For that you can see me using the rocket battery modules, which can be placed right next to each other with a little bit of fiddling and manual work. Below and right next to them you can see the power transformers, which will power each and every floor. In order to speed up the process, I sent over a duplicant from the first planet. The chosen duplicant is Adrian, because Adrian is our master art worker and we will need that on the second planet for our statues. Since Wade now got his own room, Adrian can sleep in his old one. To the left you can even see that Wade's room isn't finished completely at this moment in time. The empty space in our ever-growing base will be filled with a hospital area, which we quickly needed. Every hospital needs certain buildings to count as such. I guess it was mess tables, toilets and at least one medicine building. Scrolling back a few seconds we can see an area that is filled with water. This liquid will be cooled down and be responsible for the temperature control in the space. For that we will need an aqua tuner that can cool down that room. The aqua tuner right now is only a placeholder and made out of gold amalgam. So in order to get more steel I'm filling the metal refinery with a coolant, in this case petroleum. And do you remember our food storage from before? We changed it up a little bit, added a cooling loop and overpressured it with a sterile gas. At the moment chlorine, but I switched that out for hydrogen. In the top left corner you can see the dupes unenthusiastically sunbathing, because the sun is not strong enough there, but it is still enough to give them a little bit of a boost. Whereas the top right corner contains a park, not enough plants for a nature reserve yet. Now getting back to our cooling system on the left side, let's first break open our liquid lock on one side and use the same water as a heat transfer medium for our steam turbine, which will be placed on top of our future steam room. Of course I changed out the aqua tuner for a steel one. The water from the steam turbine will be dropped back into the room and the loop from the aqua tuner has already been filled with polluted water. The golden piping with the hot petroleum inside will snake through our steam room, cooling the petroleum inside down, giving the heat off to the steam. As soon as we connect up the power to the aqua tuner and the thermoregulator, the cooling for the temperature control unit, as well as for the infinite food storage, will start. So let's give this proper values, for example 14 and -20 should be fine, because any more than that and our chlorine will liquefy. So other than the cooling loop for our food, you can see the oxygen running through the smaller liquid pools up here, as well as being dumped into our steam turbine chamber. The plan was to use the cold from the top left liquid storage and transfer it through the lower door to the atmosphere and to the steam turbine. But as you see, the aqua tuner needs more time to cool down our liquid. Meanwhile, there may have been some issues with our oxygen production, so I had to break in this overpressured room. In order for the gas not to spill everywhere, I used a few drops of water to create liquid locks. Then I could safely repair our broken electrolyzer. And after our jack of all trades Wade has done that, I could close off the room and keep on going with whatever else I was doing. If we jump back in time, we can take a look at the base evolution from further afar. What you could see better from here is that all the statues have been worked on and that we added atmosuit docks in the lower part of the base. Of course I wasn't smart enough to include the thermosensors beforehand, so I had to add them afterwards with more effort. I'm also closing off the door cooling system for the steam turbine and replace it with 2 radiant pipes down here in the water. As you see, the top left water buffer is cooling down slowly. And now that we replaced the insulation pipes with radiant ones, our steam turbine should cool down as well. I was sending over huge amounts of lead and glass in order for us to place down pixel packs. The lead, by the way, was from the second planetoid in the first place and I just borrowed it. But it wouldn't really work and was using up way too much of our resources, so I cancelled the building orders for the pixel packs, but a few of them managed to get built anyways. On the right hand side I was fighting another issue. We ran out of food. And I mean like 0 calories. Since we got rid of all of our other plants, we were reliant on the few surviving stone hedges, which did a good job keeping us alive, but since I sent over another duplicant, it was getting pretty close. This massive farm should help out with that problem. The auto sweepers and conveyor loaders to the right will be directly hooked up to our infinite food storage next to our kitchen. The power for the auto sweeper and the other buildings will come from the main line, which is hooked up to a couple of transformers. These then split the grid into smaller sections. Responsible for harvesting our plants will be no one. The plants will just drop to the ground and will be swept up by our Sweepy army. But I decided to harvest the first batch of food manually, so we got a little bit of a food buffer. The Sweepy storage containers will be emptied by the auto sweepers, placed in the conveyor loaders and transported to our infinite food storage. Meanwhile, take a look at the horrible temperature development on the first planet, where it may be time to use some of the cooling power to cool down at least our power transformers. For that I already prepared a pipe with radiant piping in strategic places, and now we can hook it up to our cooling loop, cut the pipe in this area, and then it would be a good idea to fill it with more water. Why is the water not flowing? Because we didn't finish this loop. Now it should be finished and the water should be flowing. Exactly like this. While we are here, I added transit tube access points to the beforehand designated areas. We are also facing massive food and energy problems on the first planet, both for the same reason. I reduced the amount of hedge farms way too much. We only have 2 left, so our coal production got reduced as well as our food production. In order to compensate for that, I tried to increase our farming area. I wanted to have 2 grubfruit plants spacefarer modules, but I switched it out for mealwood. The reason for that is simple, it is just way too inefficient to have 2 separate floors inside of a spacefarer module, instead of one very long farming area. So why this weird layout in the first place? Well, I told you before that the grub or the Sweetles can't take care of the grubfruit plants if they are in flower pots. Well, that was not correct. If you place them in a sequence like this, tile, plant, plant, tile and so on, or alternating, then the Sweetle or grub will be able to take care of the plant. This time we got unlucky and our grub died of old age, so I'm catching this little Sweetle that just dropped down. And while the Sweetle is being delivered, we can copy over the GD settings from our flower pots and paste them down here. After delivering our Sweetle, that will help us with our crop tending, we can use the rest of the free space to plant some mealwoods and wait for the glory of our first harvest. And now to the main act. As you may remember, Einhaler wanted to have the worst possible bedroom. But why stop there? Why not give him constant constipation, endless suffering? Some may even say we commit atrocities against duplicant kind. But for that we first need to build a powered jail cell. That is what we are doing right now. We can start this off by making this 2 separate floors and then place down the pressure plates so we can have a feeling for where the bathrooms will go. We need a few doors that can automatically be closed so we can restrict the access for the duplicant. Oxygen for the prison cell bedroom would probably also be a good idea. And let's not forget to place down the lavatories with the opening away from the door. I'll mention it here again. This is not my design, I have seen that on Roykoi. I just changed it up so the duplicant will not starve. Because one of the main issues of this setup is that a duplicant, well, will not eat. Because going to the toilet has a higher priority than eating for the duplicants. So as you may know from the intro, this will produce us free water, and a lot of it. Because each lavatory uses up 5 kilograms of water, but produces 11.7 kilograms of polluted water. And that with each flush. Now we not only have a single lavatory, but 3 of them, and the duplicant runs back and forth between them. Before I show you the cabling and settings that make this work, well, technically all is needed, otherwise our duplicant will die. I'll show you the surrounding parameters. The most important one being food. We technically need 3000 calories every 3 days. We don't need to feed our duplicant each single day. So I've chosen an amount of food with around 3000 calories that decays slowly. In our case, roasted grubfruit nut. And in the background I needed to change out our cabling, because you can't just hook up the big cabling to the battery of the spacefarer module. Do it with a transformer in between and you're fine. Let's start off with the settings that prevent the duplicant from starving. This is done with the help of this timer sensor that is set to send a short signal once every cycle, and a counter right next to it. The counter tells the toilet doors to open every 3 cycles. This will lead to the duplicant going to the toilet and then having enough time to eat something. And for that, the signal that appears every 3 cycles will be buffered to last for at least 40 seconds, or whatever value works for you. But I used 40 for both of these buffer gates. Every other weight plate that you can see is just connected up to the door right next to them. The duplicant checkpoints are just connected up themselves. The atmos sensor and gas pipe element sensor are just here to take care of a proper atmosphere for the duplicant. Carbon dioxide will be thrown out as soon as the sensor picks up on carbon dioxide. The power for the checkpoints and the fridge comes from the outside. The door right next to the ladder is set to Einhaler Euro only, so that no other duplicant will get trapped in here. I just ordered him to come here, so we can see if this works. He still can escape, so we need to set the left door to every duplicant but him. Why do we even want other duplicants in? Well, someone's gotta deliver the food. Now to another important part that makes this work. The pressure plates are set to below 10, or basically anything that isn't the duplicant's weight. A duplicant's weight is 30 kilograms, by the way. Now we just have to wait for the duplicant's bladder to reach 100%. And then this will happen. Every time the duplicant reaches a door, he will try to empty his bladder. The toilet will count this action as being used. Removes 5 kg of water and adds 11.7 kg of polluted water. But the dupe's bladder never actually empties. He is stuck in an infinite constipation loop, with absolutely no relief inside. The only thing that could make this situation more unpleasant would be radiation. Oh wait, we already got it. Then maybe some slime lung germs or something like that. Just a little reminder for no one to snitch on me. Absolutely all of the duplicant's rights have been harmed. And while our duplicant lives the dream, I didn't say that it's a good dream, we at least can give him more downtime, so we will get a small moral boost out of that. Let's call it toilet problems. And then administer our lovely dupe to that schedule. By the way, I didn't know what was happening here. The duplicant just stopped and I thought he was bugged out, so I was changing the schedule again to test if that helped. It did not. That is because the problem was we were running out of water. So if we don't have any liquid to flush, we can't use that exploit. The solution for that seemed rather simple. Let's first send the clean water back to our prison cell and then to the rest of the base. So let's cut this right here. This should do the trick. Yeah, filled again. Nice. Now you can also see the benefit of our giant water purification system. If I finally do have 4 completely filled tanks, I can change the automation in a way that can handle 10 kilograms of germy water per second. But at the moment I'm just trusting my good old germ sensor. For now let's put a liquid storage as a buffer right next to our water sieve. This should hopefully keep our polluted water from backing up in the pipes. And in order for us to prepare a 10 kilogram pipe of germy water, I will need to add a second water sieve, because a single one can just handle 5 kilogram. Now for this to work properly, I just need to cut the piping right here. Now the clean output water is sent back to the toilets and we have a small buffer of 5 tons. A very important thing that I forgot was we have to reset our counter. And we need to do that every 3 cycles. So the settings so far are correct, but we are missing one cable. The cable from the output back to the middle reset part of our counter. And while we are improving stuff, I move the gas element sensor to the left, set it to carbon dioxide again, and place the tile below the door, which is very important. If you have a door with no tile below and have restricted the access, duplicants will still ignore your commands. So this now prevents outside dupes from coming in and trying to use the toilet, which they can't. Let me real quick show you what happens when the counter reaches 3. Or we could just manually reset it and see what happens. Let's check in what time of the cycle we are. We are at nighttime. The duplicant should be sleeping now. But he can't because he's stuck in his own bathroom loop, giving that expression a bitter taste. So let's click on the timer sensor and then hit reset. Because our counter is already at 2, this should behave the same way as if we spent another day waiting. The counter sent a green signal, activated the buffer for exactly 40 seconds. Which then keeps the door and the duplicant checkpoint open, hopefully allowing our Hale to relieve himself once every 3 cycles. We may have to find a way to prevent him from idling around there. Taking a break from being overly mean to our duplicant, you can clearly see that Wade's planet is a little bit hot. So in order to do something about that, I'm placing down pipes in every free room that I find with the intention of cooling down the rooms. The pipes will be filled with water, which will pass our cooling area through radiant pipes that are in a pre-chilled liquid room. This here, for example, has 30 degrees. Why it is temperature setting? Because this upper part of the base inherits a park with some plants, which I want to keep at optimal temperature. Whereas the lower part of the base will be cooled further down, maybe to around 20 degrees Celsius. We can control this at our temperature control unit up here with the help of the temperature sensor by pre-cooling that room to our desired temperature. I see at the moment we have 15 degrees set. The room draws its cooling power from the left room. Also, icy cold barbecue, delicious. Whenever or wherever our time traveling dimension hopping dupe is at the moment, we finally want to give Steakooo more morale points. I mean, Steakooo is right in front of us, but they could also be at any time in this Let's Play episode. And this here is just the version that already came back. Check this out, 32 morale, nice. Let's take another look back to the past. We also got a snazzy suit, that will help. Now Steakooo can be fancy looking and angry at the same time. I also might have added gas masks for this planet, which is still very cold. And our oxygen mainly comes from algae. Today I wanna give a shoutout to GCFungus, who makes informative and concise tutorial bits. So if you are interested in that, check that out, that might help you. Link in the description. Speaking of fungus, we might have dug up a small area here in our swampy biome. And in the next episode I want to explain this kitchen setup to you. That of course still can be improved. We will also take in another dupe called Ted and hopefully fix the power issues that I produced on the first planet by using up all the coal. Thank you guys for watching and consider swinging by the Patreon if you want your own duplicate. Love you guys and Luma out.